Hello.
Hey, Yuri.
Hi. Oh, it's live. Oops.
Yes, we are live. So we're just about to start.
All right.
I'm going to allow just one more minute for everybody to join. So if everybody doesn't mind just waiting just a couple minutes, we'll get started shortly. Okay, let's get started. So hi, everyone. Happy Monday. Welcome to the 49th Town Hall. This is our first Town Hall of 2020. So let's get things started. First, we will have a quick hello from Carl. So Carl, do you want to quickly jump on?
Sure, Jenny, can you hear me?
Yes.
Great. So yeah, given this is our first town hall of the year, I just wanted to say a belated happy 2020 to everyone listening in. I couldn't be more excited about what this year has in store for us as a community. Like, this is the year where we're really going to begin to see the fruits of our labor, where all the different pieces of the Status network are going to begin to come together. And perhaps the most compelling part, this is the year where a lot of new people are going to begin to use Status. And by doing so, they're going to get a little bit more sovereignty over their lives, a little bit more freedom over their communication. And I think we should really take pride in that. Like, we're on the brink of doing what very few organizations in the space have managed to do. It's been a challenging journey getting to where we are, and we're in a really strong position for 2020. And so I just want to say thank you again to everyone for being here. Really exciting times ahead.
Great. Nice words of wisdom, Carl. Jumping in now, we are going to kick off with a People Ops update. We have a new core contributor joining us, Gregory. So make sure everyone says hello to him. And for hiring, we have referrals that we're looking for a paid marketing manager. So if you guys know anyone, please refer them. And next, we have Carrie, who will be giving an update on Picon.
Yep. Let me know if the sound drops out. Not sure about the signal. Okay, cool. Let's try it. All right, cool. Picon. So I'm sure you've all seen it. Actually, you've all been answering the surveys, which is awesome. So I thought I'll just tell you a little bit more about what it is. It's essentially a way for us to get like a real-time pulse on what you're all thinking, liking, disliking. And it's in the format of a weekly Net Promoter Score style survey. So it's really quick and simple. Over time, it gets to understand how we're doing against different drivers, and also kind of figures out which are the ones that are most important to us as core contributors, not just kind of like generic employees. So we'll keep sharing the results in town halls and using the data to make improvements. And the plan is really that these replace more intensive quarterly engagement surveys that we used to run. Let me know if you have any questions or if you need access to any part of the data. I'm happy to open up and share it. And you can see at the bottom of this slide is a link to the dashboard directly if you want to check it out yourself. Yeah, our latest score is 8 out of 10 as an engagement score. And I think that's actually really great to see because it's above the benchmark for like a tech company. I know we're not a typical one, but that's the closest benchmark I could find that I thought would be appropriate for us. On to the next slide. Thanks. So I mentioned earlier, like the key drivers of engagement, and this is really about what are the aspects of working here that are important to us personally and how are we doing against those things. So where we're doing well, organizational fit, reward and health, and just about organizational fit, because I think that one's not clear what that is. That essentially means the extent to which we feel like the culture and values of Status match our own. I'm not surprised to see that one so high because I think that's, you know, how we all came to find this project. So that's great to see. Reward is around satisfaction with total compensation, and health is about the fit between your own personal like well-being and physical wellness aspirations and the extent to which Status supports you to achieve those goals. And looking at where we're not doing so well and things that are important to us. So goal setting is one of them, and that's the level of understanding that you have about what's expected from you, and then also recognition, and that's whether you feel that your work is valued by us as Status, and that's strongly linked to feedback and praise that you get on the job. So I've shared this information with team leads for them to think about how to incorporate that in their teams. And I'm also working on some ideas for alternative recognition channels, because I know we have kudos, but I think we could probably do more and give you more options to recognize other people. And in goal setting, I'll have a think about how we can make better use of monthly budget check-ins with team leads as a space to clarify priorities so that we have full alignment on direction and everyone's moving towards the same target. And that's it. Thank you.
Thanks, Carrie. All right, now jumping in for a core update. This will be given by Rachel.
Amazing. Thanks, Carrie. Thanks, Rajani. Can you hear me okay?
Yep.
Okay, awesome. So 2020, the first thing I want to say is just shout out to the team who continued to work over the holidays pretty steadily, just progressing against the V1 backlog. We were able to merge the last remaining feature, which we wanted to include in V1, and that was chat commands, which will help us to facilitate smoother onboarding for brand new users with S&T. And kind of the headline news is that last week we submitted a version of the app to the App Store, not test flight, but the official App Store for production, and the app was approved within 2 hours of submission. So typically that's a good sign that subsequent versions will also be approved, especially given that we won't be making any major changes. There's just going to be a few extra bug fixes and a couple of disabled features included in the final release candidate. So on the topic of release candidates, we are planning to share a build for dog fooding internally with all of the core contributors, including those outside the core team who are not as versed in how V1 works just yet, as well as our group of ambassadors with a call to action to help us dog food the app. So today or tomorrow, potentially, I'll be sharing a set of instructions for how you can go about doing that, and we'll suggest some kind of key user flows that we think would be good for you to try out with us, just to help us kick the tires and identify any issues that might come up, especially across a diverse range of devices and locations and all other different variables that could factor into potential issues with the application. That said, we are really only going to prioritize a couple of more bug fixes before we consider V1 ready for App Store submission. And the majority of those right now have to do with transaction history. There's some really like but we've got really good progress towards those done by Roman that we believe should be merged this week. And yeah, of course, if anything else comes up during dog fooding as a group, we will take some time to address those issues as well. But we're really only going to prioritize things that block a majority of our users during core flows. Otherwise, it's our top priority that we get the app out and into the community's hands. So once we do that, the focus will shift to the chat improvements that we'd identified previously back in Q4 of 2019. But our number one priority is actually going to be integration of the WAKU project. And the goals of the WAKU project, just to reiterate from other town halls, is twofold. It's one, to help reduce bandwidth consumption by status on a user's device. And two, it's to enable us to scale the messaging protocol to be able to support more users concurrently on status. Once we have WAKU introduced, then we'll be able to make a little bit more of a marketing push around V1. But the plan for now, and I don't want to speak over Johnny if he's on this town hall, the plan for now is actually to scale back marketing and buzz around the launch, just because we know that there's potential for us to run into scalability issues due to the nature of the Whisper protocol today. And we don't want to invite disappointment from people who are having their first experience of status when V1 does go live. So I'll leave further marketing information to Johnny, but if you have any feedback or questions about the V1 timeline, please just drop us a note. There's still Discuss post open about this. It's a great place to ask. So that's it from me today. Thanks.
Thanks, Rachel. Thanks, Rachel. And really exciting news about V1. Let's jump into a security infra update, and we just have an infra update from Jakob.
Yeah, I think that's me.
Yep.
So for the most part, there's been a lot of work on the backend regarding various sites in preparation for V1. But really, the biggest changes were for DApp discovery with DApp.ps. We fixed a lot of issues, including iOS and macOS loading issues and performance issues. So that side should be much nicer right now for users. We also have a new fleet for Prod for V1, which should be more performant. It has the newest changes for status Go, and that's already been tested. It works with future V1 builds. And many sites have been getting updates, for example, Embarq Labs has been moving to a new domain, Embarq Labs IO. We also have Assemble Fund, which was released recently, although it's not fully stable yet. So I would recommend using that for anything big, but we can play with it. There's also improvements to our IPFS cluster, which we'll probably start using for pinning stuff like sticker packs and probably also for WPS. We had improvements with Nix, especially with our Nix cache and performance of downloading packages for developers. So that should be nice for newcomers. I also have new improved instructions and scripts for running your own mail servers. So if anyone in the community wants to run their own, that should be much easier right now. And also a bunch of upgrades and general security patches in all of our fleets in preparation for V1. And I'm also preparing an upgrade to the bridge between Discord and Status that will support V1 because V1 is not compatible with beta, and that will be probably rolled out sometime around when the release candidate comes out. That's about it.
Cool, thank you. All right, so we have a new project that we will be giving updates regularly in the town hall, which is Assemble, and these will be given by Hester. Hey, Hester.
Or me.
Oh, sorry, I thought it was...
No, it's all right. It's a last minute change.
Either one. Karen, please.
Yeah, sorry, me again. All right. So I'm actually super buzzed that it's finally here. This is a huge shout out to Barry, Hester, Simon, Johnny for all the work that they've put into this. We've actually had a blast putting this together, and I'm sure the fun is going to continue. So what is Assemble? Okay, simply put, this is our decentralized version of Kickstarter. And the aim here is to decentralize funding of the status network. So this is going to be a huge focus for us in 2020. Over time, we'd love to migrate more of the development that's being done in the network via this alternative funding model and move away where we can from legacy centralized contracts. And this is really going to help us meet the principles of continuance and decentralization. This first round is a pilot, so we've set aside funding for core contributors and ambassadors to pitch their projects, and we've got a user guide for you and a discuss thread where you can ask your questions. Because it is a pilot, I would say do read the user guide first. There are dragons, and there may be issues that you come across, so we'd really appreciate your help in dogfooding those and reporting any issues that you see. And need to stress as well, please don't put significant amount of funds through the contracts at this time during the pilot. What we're going to be doing is showcasing projects that get submitted to Assemble in the town halls in future. And so we'll just have a quick look at the two that we have on deck right now. First is from our very own Andy, and that will be to continue work on DApp discovery. This is an amazing curated DApp system. It is really cool. So I'm really excited to see that one being pitched here. And the next is from Curious Giraffe, and that will be to create an SNT analytics dashboard for Sticker Market. I'm sure you've seen his existing SNT dashboards for other parts of the SNT world. And so I'm really excited to see the next installment of that. And yeah, assemble.fun, the domain is open for business, so come on in. You can submit and fund projects to your heart's desire. And so the V1 pilot is ongoing right now, and we'll be sharing the product roadmap sometime in early February so you can see what's next for Assemble. Thank you.
Great, thanks, Carrie. Jumping into KeyCard with Guy Louis.
Yes, hi. So a quick KeyCard update. First, about the integration of KeyCard within Status V1. We've been facing an issue, which we call the card tearing issue. It's pretty critical. What happens is that since we tested more intensively the KeyCard with Status, we saw that at some times, if the card is removed from the phone, meaning that the card is then powered off, at some specific times, it can cause the card to crash and actually be killed and not be usable again. So it's pretty critical. The issue is at the card level. and not at status software level. So we've decided that until this is resolved, we won't have keycard integrated within V1 and won't do specific marketing about keycard. So to solve that, we're doing two things right now. First, we want to find the root cause of this issue, the root cause on the card. This could either be some hole in the way the tearing protection is done in the card at the card OS level from NXP, our provider, or it could be a more hardware issue, meaning that when there are read and writes on the square prom of the card, and depending on some physical condition, for instance, like a weak NFC fields, this could cause problems in the way the square prom is written. So that's the one thing, the first thing, and we also are checking for replacement solution for the card. So testing the GCOP4, which is the newest card from NXP, getting some samples from the other main providers of Java cards, so Gemalto, and I'm also talking with Infineon in IDEMIA to check that. So that's what's going on with the integration with Status. On the payment network, a quick update is that we're in this very iterative approach to develop a proof of concept with different versions of this proof of concept for the payment network. There's a definition that we wrote about this V1 of the proof of concept, sorry. It's going to be ready in February. And this week, we are actually fine-tuning the estimation of the effort for the work that's remaining to be able to say more precisely when in February we'll have that. And what is this V1 of the proof of concept? It's pretty basic, but still it's an end-to-end proof of concept. Status app can be very easily turned into a point of sale with this proof of concept. And this happened by running a point of sale dApp within the Status Web3 browser. And then a user can pay by tapping his own key card on the shop owner phone running Status by just tapping the key card. And the payment is done through a smart contract wallet and not a wallet on a phone. And so we'll, in next town hall, I will provide more information on the roadmap for the payment network and the proof of concepts to come. And that's what I wanted to say for today.
Cool, thank you. Great update. Next, we have Yuri with a Teller update. Hey, Yuri.
Hey, guys. Hi. So next slide. And yeah, so about Teller, we have now deployed to live in Teller.exchange, a live version using mainnet. It's still experimental, so please keep your trading funds limited. You should get a big fat warning when you enter the site. And we're doing this so we can find issues, typically issues that are only really visible when using something as mainnet. And we're still working on it. The team is going at it full steam. It was 40 tasks done last week, from small bug fixes to UX fixes and improvements. And we've been working on a spec so we can go through the security audit and release it. But for now, if you want to check it out, go to Teller.exchange and give us our feedback. And now for Embarq. So next slide. For Embarq, we released Embarq 5.0, and we're releasing also very soon 5.1. Should be this week, hopefully. So there's different features in 5.1. Some highlights include that there's a new way to configure interfaces and libraries, which should simplify things a lot. We have support for new type of plugins, namely to support different type of Ethereum clients and even other blockchain clients. And we also support specifying the EVM client version in a test, which gives the developer more granularity in a test that he's running. We added this nightly systems with thanks to Michael. It's fairly complex given all the packages that Embarq has, but it's working perfectly. So if you want to get the newest version of Embarq, you can always check what is the nightly and just install it and use it immediately. And we also have next version of Subspace coming soon. Again, probably this week as well. It supports pooling, and well, before we only supported providers that were supporting subscriptions, such as WebSockets, and this meant it didn't work, say, for example, in Status and some other browsers that do not support subscriptions. So we added supports for pooling. So this should then work in any browser, whatever it is. And we also will do improvements on GraphQL. And next up, we have a new website at embarklabs.io as part of the Status network. And this website is sort of the portal or aggregate for the other projects Embarq is working on. So next slide. And you can see, so we have the main one in embarklabs.io. We have the blog that was previously in /news will be now in blog.embarklabs.io, and Embarq itself will move to framework.embarklabs.io, and Subspace as well move to its own subdomain within Embarq Labs as part of the Status network. And that's all for today. Thanks.
Thanks, Yuri. All right, thanks everyone for those wonderful updates. Now we have just one Q&A question that was submitted from somebody in our community, Cosmo. So Cosmo would like to know, how is the Status team organized? Sorry, hold on one second, I have a blocker. See, just a bunch of geeky friends, really cute, I like that. Any update to solving scaling? What's the main issue with scaling? Does anybody want to take a stab at answering this question? No.
Well, I can answer the question about scaling. The primary problem that we're looking at there is just the fact that the way that our messaging protocol is structured and is based on Whisper, it would be very difficult for us to support more than, we're not really sure how many actually is the upper limit, a certain number of concurrent users, not enough to facilitate like true growth and adoption of the platform. So we have a project in progress, which is the Waku project that I was referring to earlier. I can't speak to exact numbers as to how many users Waku would allow us to scale to. We're going to have to see that in production first to be able to have some data to go by. But yeah, from my perspective, that's the main issue. It's primarily to do with our communication protocol.
Cool, thanks, Rachel. Okay, I think if that hopefully answers Cosmo's question. If not, you can ask it maybe in one of our channels and somebody can get back to you that way as well. I'm going to stop the live stream now. So if anybody on YouTube wants to join us in Zoom, you can do that now. Yeah.
Johnny, I just wanted to talk quickly. Rachel touched on it, but the marketing plan.
Oh yeah, go for it.
Yeah, as she mentioned, like we don't want to create like a first negative impression when installing Status. So we're not getting rid of all marketing plans. We're still going to push everything out through our own channels. We've got a lot of really interesting content to explain the product, to explain the work that's being done and the roadmap ahead. So we still do foresee obviously community users, and like we're focusing on the Ethereum community and like the immediate blockchain community, as opposed to pushing this out to like a wider net, just because of those issues Rachel just mentioned. But it's not like we're stopping marketing altogether. We still are going to run campaigns to try and get some of these new community users on. So I don't want people to think that we're stopping everything. And any questions, feel free to ask in the marketing channel, and I'm happy to answer.
Yeah, thanks for clarifying that.
All right. So